So you want to learn about artifacts, how to find them, how to research them, how to upgrade them, which ones should you be upgrading, things of that sort we'll go over in this video. Let's get started. Now before we start, I just want to say you can use my friend code in order to get 2 artifacts and also a backpack to equip those artifacts. When you equip the backpack, you can right click and open it and put these 2 artifacts in there. Otherwise, let's get started. Now the first thing I want to cover is the Buryat. The Buryat is used to find artifacts. It makes finding artifacts significantly easier. There's a screen that shows where the artifacts are. I'll give an example here. So as you can see in this example, you can see there's a ton of artifacts on my screen. This device makes artifact hunting really easy compared to not having it. Because if you don't have it, you have to just kind of go around and look for artifacts near anomalies. We'll go into how to make the Buryat really quickly. In order to craft the Buryat, you're going to need 2 devices. You're going to need the candle short range detector. And you're also going to need the SAC-1 wide range detector. You get both of these items from completing the main quest, so don't bother crafting them because you will get them for free eventually. Now once you have these 2 devices, you can start searching for signals, and when you find a signal, you're going to get these things called trackers. And you can turn in these trackers in order to build a Buryat from this vendor right here. So we're going to talk to him, and as we scroll down, we see the Buryat. Now we need our candle short range detector, 125 alpha group trackers, 125 beta group trackers, and gamma group trackers. Now you can find all these in separate spots. The alpha group trackers can be found in these locations: the forest, the pit, scrapyard, black willows, roadside, colos, and even the swamps. Now beta group trackers can be found in these areas: the graveyard, Polskoy, the path of fools, and the dead city. Now let's go over how to use the short range detector. So as you can see, there is a few things in this video going on. When the light is blinking next to the word signal, that means you're in range of a signal. Now what I do is I press medium and then I flip it on. And now you're going to wait for at least 6 red dots. And once you wait for those 6 red dots, then you can stop the signal and you should be able to search for it. So once you finish the search, your detector will now glow yellow when you're facing the signal. Now you're going to follow the signal. You'll see there's a percentage as well when you're getting closer to it. Now every 25%, the signal direction will change. It's not always a linear path, so just keep that in mind. Now once you're done locating the signal, you can see we get 1 beta group tracker. And you'll always get 1 tracker every signal that you find. Now here's where I went for all my trackers. I would completely skip the forest because there is a little ravine around the factory area, and sometimes you get stuck in this ravine. It's not great. It's really hard to find signals here actually, in my opinion. And I would highly recommend just trekking back down to roadside, setting your spawn point at the garages, and just looking for trackers at the roadside. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Now for the beta group trackers, you can go to the graveyard if you're a stalker. It's a really small area and you'll almost always find a signal there. I can't speak on the behalf of bandits, but I assume the dead city is similar to the graveyard, that it is a little bit smaller and that you'll always find a good signal there. You can always go to Polskoy as well and the Path of Fools, but just keep in mind those are a bit bigger. But they do have that advantage of being big, so that means there's less people around to find the same signal as you. Whereas the graveyard and the dead city are very small, like I said earlier, which means other people can snipe your signals, and you don't want that. So just keep that in mind. You know, maybe go to Poloskoi if there's too many people in the graveyard. Maybe go to the Path of Fools if there's too many people in the Dead City. So, yeah, it's up to you. Just do what you think you're comfortable with. And finally, for the Gamma group trackers. These are going to be fairly easy. You only need 25, and they can be found anywhere in the north area. But if you just happen not to have any for some reason while not doing your weeklies or dailies, just go to Reflection or the Black Detour. You will need a decent scientist suit, at least with 300 thermal. But there are a lot of signals there. Another place to keep in mind is also the Labyrinth. There's tons of signals there. You can just open your tracker and you'll find them immediately. These are all really great places. So it's really up to you on where you want to get these trackers. But I think you will get all 25 passively as you do your dailies and as you do your weeklies. But if you're really just wanting them ASAP, yeah, I would highly recommend going to the Reflection, the Black Detour. So now that you have some artifacts, let's get into how you use the Researcher properly. So let's get out an artifact, and let's get out some energy. You can get energy from unstable anomalous batteries that you'll passively get throughout the battle pass, or when you do signals, you get anomalous dust. So let's get some anomalous dust, let's get a battery. You'll also need proto artifacts. These are very important in order to repair your artifact. Let us look at our artifacts. So I'm going to go ahead and try and upgrade this helium. All right, let's talk to the researcher. Actually, this is not the researcher. Sorry. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to research it. It costs rubles, but don't worry about that. It shouldn't cost too much. One thing to keep in mind is that when you research it, let's go ahead and do that. You can see it hit 125%. So depending on what quality, we have a rare quality, it's between 120% and 130%. So we hit 125, and if you want to reroll that, you can. You can use these items called Changing Serum, which, like it says, lets you reset an artifact's attribute. I'm fine with the helium that I just got, so I'm not going to use it. But if you ever want to sell your artifact as well, you can use the Reset Essence, which will reset the artifact's attributes, and it makes it sellable. Now when you reset it, you don't have to worry about losing your levels. All it does is allow you to research it again in order to hit a higher percentage. I'm not too sure if you can hit a lower percentage. I've only done this a few times, and every time I've done it, I've always hit a higher percentage. But I do believe that you can hit a lower percentage if you are unlucky. So once we got this, we can go ahead and charge it. So this is where you can repair. If you want to repair it, you can use rubles. But if you want to overcharge it, which you can, it'll level up its artifact level, which also has 15 levels. And every 5 levels, you'll get a bonus attribute to your artifact. So let's go ahead and try and upgrade this. And we're going to use a catalyst. A catalyst basically doubles the percentage to increase its potential. So let's go ahead and put it in there. And you see, now it's 100%. And now let's put some energy in there. So we'll confirm this. And we'll also put some anomalous dust in there. And this will take a little bit of time. It's putting power into the generator. So it's done. And now we can overcharge our artifact. So let's go ahead and do that. It says it's going to bind it to me. That's completely fine. I plan on using this. Press confirm, and boom. Now we have a helium +1. And like I said, every 5 levels you get a new attribute. And you can find these attributes on Stalcalc. I'll link this website and I'll actually go over it pretty briefly. Let's go ahead and do that right now. So here we are on Stalcalc. And as we can see, we can select whatever container that we have, which I'm going to use the Berloga or the Bearden, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to select an artifact. And we're going to select helium. So Remember that quality I was talking about? Well, let's put it to our quality, which was 125. And you can see its potential. Now, again, so we have +1, but if we get it +5, you can see it has an additional property: movement speed, health regen, and stamina regen. Now, let's say I just wanted to keep it +5, but I wanted health regen, but I got movement speed. Well, what can you do? You can use that reset thing that I was talking about earlier. So that reset can be used in case, maybe you have a helium 10, but maybe you want stamina regen instead of the health regen. Well, you can re-roll it until you get, both attributes that you want. But just keep in mind, when you do re-roll, it will of course re-roll your quality. So again, just be careful using the resets, and they are pretty expensive. So now that we touched on Stalcalc, let's talk about what you have to do in order to repair your maximum charge. So let's go ahead and try upgrade again, and let's see if we fail. We did not fail. Okay, that time we did. So whenever you go down a percentage, you can use a proto artifact and recharge it. And I usually recharge it twice to get the maximum amount, because the higher this percentage is, the higher the potential is. So let's see. So now we have 24%, versus at 95%, we were researching at 22.8 potential. Now, the last thing I forgot to mention is when you repair your artifact, you're actually going to want to use rubles instead of your energy. I mean, you should ideally have more rubles than energy. Always click that ruble sign instead of the energy sign. So now that we've gone over how to find them, how to level them up, which ones should you be leveling up? Which ones should you be searching for? Well, I would honestly say it's not worth leveling up a common artifact. And by common, I mean the quality. So anything white quality, common quality, I would just not upgrade that. If you want to upgrade an uncommon, just be very wary. Energy is very valuable. Unstable anomalous batteries are quite expensive. They cost about 30,000 rubles per. So yeah, that money can add up over time. The only other thing I would recommend, or I would like to say, is that certain artifacts cost more energy than others to upgrade. So sometimes it might even be worth to just find someone selling a +15 artifact that you're looking for. Now, which one should you be looking for? Well, I don't have a really in-depth guide on that, but there is a rather new recent YouTube video on that covers a lot of good builds for artifacts. Now I'm going to go ahead and link that, and you should definitely watch it because it is very informational, and I actually learned a lot myself because I have only just started getting into artifacts and starting my build. So this was very informational to me, and it helped me a lot. So maybe you want to just make your own build. You want to learn the basics about a build and how it works and how artifacts work with each other. So let's go over that really quick. Usually a build will always center around some sort of, item or artifact that gives positive bio, positive radiation, positive thermal, and positive psi. Not all four of those at the same time. While there is an artifact that does that, let's try to find one that is kind of does at least two. So let's use the scrubber for example. It gives us radiation and bio positive. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and add something that we want. So let's use a shard for example. It gives me a lot of vitality, it gives me healing effectiveness. But as a negative, it gives me bio infection. But since we have the scrubber, it counteracts the bio infection. Now let's add a second one. We can quickly add a second one by clicking this copy sign and putting number 3. Now you see I'm taking increased damage from biological infection. Well, what can we do about that? So if we increase its potential, and if we got really lucky, maybe the additional property goes into bioinfection. So now we're not taking damage. And that's because this is 0.33. Now, when it's above 0.5, that's when we start taking damage. So let's max this out. And let's get some stamina and some bullet resistance as well. Or some bioinfection resistance, sorry. And now let's add a third shard. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're still taking bioinfection. Well, what can I do now? Well, maybe I just don't run the shard. Well, you still can actually. You just have to increase the quality of the shard. So let's go ahead and do that. So a pink scrubber at 127 quality allows us to run 3 shards. Now the only other thing to keep in mind is usually the shard's bio infection, or how much bio it gives us, is truly dependent on the quality percent. So you can see at just 100 or 99, we're at 2.49. I think at 100 it was at 2.5. I don't know why it changed. But as we go up in percentage, it goes up again. But as we go down in percentage, it goes down again. So keep that in mind. Play around with Stalcalc and learn, what counteracts each other. So the scrubber is really good because it counteracts the shards. And it also gives us radiation. So that means we can add some other things. So like, let's say, since we have this container now, we need some carry weight. So let's add some carry weight. Let's add a golden prima because it gives us movement speed and carry weight. And it gives us a little radiation. But remember, we have that radiation resistance as well. So boom. Now we have some carry weight. And we can even add another one. Now it says I'll be taking damage from radiation. Well, what I can do is get a higher quality. So 104%. I can even upgrade its potential. And I can even increase this one's quality, which makes it go down as well. So usually around 106, 104, 105, we have enough radiation to still let us survive. So 108, and yeah, that's about the cap. So now you know kind of the basics, and yeah, what to play around with. And you can go ahead and watch Cheeki Preeky's video because he provides a lot of information on what a lot of good players are using, and what builds to use. He has a whole spreadsheet. It's a really nice video. But if you want to just play around with this, you can. Maybe you see on the Discord like someone selling a really expensive artifact and you want to know why. Well, you can find out on Stalcalc. It's a really great website. And yeah, just go ahead and play around with this, theorycraft a bit. But just remember, if you don't want to theorycraft, you don't want to mess around, there's a whole video that shows you exactly what you could be building and what to work for. So before we end this video, I'm going to go over some questions that were asked in my previous video. One of the questions was asked, what does each faction bring to the table? So maybe you're deciding on which faction to choose. So I can only speak on behalf of the factions that I'm available to, which is the Stalkers. So I can either join Rise or I can join Frontier. And I chose to join Frontier because one of my friends is on Frontier. What I do know is that each faction kind of has its own suit. So like, let's say if I did join Rise, I could build the Hound's exoskeleton, which is a really cool combo suit because it gets 12% movement speed, which is a lot, and it gets 2% periodic healing. But what it does lack in is bullet resistance. But this is a crazy suit. 12% movement speed is nothing to sleep on. and periodic killing is also very nice as well. So yeah, every faction kind of has its own niche things. Usually I think it is a sort of an armor. Now the Frontier, I believe they can build the Vanguard, which is right here, which is, you know, it's a nice blend of everything. It gives -1% movement speed compared to the Centurion that gives -5% movement speed. So yeah, that's the Frontier suit. One thing I would also like to mention is that there are subdivisions in each faction, which are essentially like clans, guilds, whatever you want to call them. Apparently Rise, you know, doesn't have a great time against some mercenaries. I can't speak on that. I've never been in Rise, but I do see, you know, newer players that are joining Rise and say that, hey, like, I'm not having a great time in Rise, so I'm going to join Frontier. And they end up joining Frontier instead. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind too. Just look at the list of subdivisions, and yeah. The only other question I got was about PvP, and they asked, you know, how to PvP correctly and what they can do in order to get a successful gunfight. Well, when I am in PvP, you know, the main thing I pay attention to is my minimap. My minimap shows me at the top left when there's someone next to me. Sometimes you'll hear a little beep too. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that beep actually. So you heard that little beep? That means someone is either entering or leaving my vicinity. So that beep is very helpful. It means, hey, someone's next to you. And usually what that means to me is that, hey, I should be on alert. I don't know if it's a friendly. I don't know if it's an enemy. And usually I carry around some black plate carriers, the ceramic plate carriers. I usually carry these around on me, and whenever I hear that beep, if I'm not under fire, I go ahead and switch my plate carrier, because this is going to be the best plate carrier against players. Now you may be asking, why is it the best plate carrier against players? And it's because it has the highest damage absorption compared to any other plate carrier. It does have a lot less armor, which means it's going to get shredded really fast, but that's why you carry multiple on you, because you want to have an extra one once yours runs out. Just always be aware of your surroundings. You know, maybe you're in Lebec and you hear someone shooting a shotgun that doesn't sound like a normal NPC. Get familiar with NPC sounds. You know, what guns do the NPCs shoot? What do they sound like? You know, get familiar with those sounds around you. And when you hear something odd, well, maybe you can go check it out. Maybe you hear a different gun sound. Go check out that gun sound. Maybe it's a player, and maybe you can third party them. But yeah, just keep in mind that you also make noise. You know, maybe you're clearing out a camp with a shotgun. Well, someone else can hear you clearing out that camp. So always just be alert if you hear someone entering your vicinity. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please thumbs up and like it. Share it with people. Maybe this is informative to you. Maybe it's informative to your friends and they don't know about artifacts yet. Maybe you guys are getting into the game and want to learn more. I plan on making more videos like this. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you around. Peace.